So before we start the topic, I just want to show everybody this is Gahl's new astrology book, Metamorphosis in Motion. And since then, I've been buying your astrology book every year. And I have to say that even as an astrologer myself, I learned so much from your books. And not just because it's an astrology book, but also I learned a lot of the history and the events and happen and how to look at the astrology from a historical perspective to deepen our understanding. So this is also my advice for a lot of my followers. If you love astrology, you got to look at history. You got to study history. And I believe that's also something you talked about in a podcast thing with someone. And you emphasize a lot on history, right?
Because think about astrology basically is trying to trace the patterns that have happened in the past. And we have to understand what stories happened when similar cycles were going on in order to understand where we are now and maybe deduct what we have to be careful of, what we could actually expect, but also what can we create? Because astrology, a lot of time people think astrology is about the future, and it is in many ways because astrology is ruled by Aquarius, and Aquarius is the sign of the future. But it's also talking about what happened in the past and how we can create our own future. So I think that the reason why astrology is ruled by Aquarius and Aquarius is the future is also because we can determine the future, that it's not yet written in many ways. And it's kind of liberating in a sense. It's scary, but also it's unpredictable. And you don't know what the reaction will be because you're not used to these kind of things. So you don't know what the outcome will be. That's an outer-bound planet. So that's why I'm saying that because Saturn is moving into Aries, Aries is a sign of leaders, we're going to see a lot of changes among leaderships, leaders in general, and even how you lead yourself. But it is going to be important to look in your charts where you guys have Aries. Already, we're going to have Neptune in January 26, moving into Aries, that same degree. And then on Valentine's, literally going on a date, it will be Saturn and Neptune coming together on the first degree of Aries. That's why this year is a reset of a lot of things for us.
100%. Yeah, I think even from the perspective of Chinese astrology, this year we're having the fire horse year, and this is only happening once every 60 years. And actually, in the Chinese astrology, we do believe that when fire and horse come together, it can be a little bit like a karmic lesson feeling in there. The last time this happened was 1966, and that was actually the starting point of the Cultural Revolution in mainland China, right? So that was if you know what for our audience, if you know what Cultural Revolution was, it was a very chaotic, a very dramatic period of time in modern Chinese history. And even 60 years before that, 1906, and that's when the